This is what you get for being a damn stain lady, Officer Braden bellowed, his voice laced with venom, as he shoved the black woman against the cruiser. He had no idea someone was going to jail today, and it wasn't going to be her. The digital clock read 2:17 p.m. as the black Ford Crown Victoria turned on a Lexington and 145th. The woman behind the wheel wore a sharp gray blazer, rectangular glasses, and the calm of someone used to control. She lowered her window. "Is there a problem, officer?" "A problem?" Braden scoffed. "You're in a neighborhood you don't belong in, driving a stolen car." "The car's mine. I can show you." "Out of the damn car. Hands where I can see them." Before she could finish, he'd yanked the door open. Officer Jensen, leaner and younger, circled to the other side. "What if we search it?" "You know, for safety," he sneered. She stepped out. "This is a mistake. And you think you can talk to us like you're somebody?" Braden cuffed her roughly. No rights read. Inside precinct 145, the stench of sweat and old coffee clung to the air. Braden marched her past silent stairs. "Name, bitch," Jensen demanded. She remained silent. "You deaf?" "I asked your name." The pen hit the desk with a sharp crack. She stared at Braden, unblinking. "You think you're better than us? You're not. You're just another slave," Jensen hissed. Braden laughed, but unease flickered behind his eyes. Still, they dragged her to cell 3. It was dim, flickering, concrete and steel. They pushed her inside. Braden struck her, open palm, calculated. Just enough to bruise the spirit, not the body. She staggered back but didn't cry out. "Now you're learning how things work," Jensen muttered. They left her there. Hours passed. No food, no water, no answers. When they returned, it wasn't for mercy. "You're not just another black woman," Braden sneered. "You think dressing like them fools us? That we forget what you are." Jensen dropped a tray to the floor, dried chicken, clumpy rice. "Bon appetit, Michelle Obama." No water. She didn't move. Not from pride. Something inside her was unraveling. Rage, disbelief, powerlessness. She touched her cheek where Braden had struck her. A tear slipped down, not of fear, but of silent surrender. Not to them, but to the truth that nothing she had done mattered. Not here. Midnight. Braden returned alone. The door creaked open. "If you want this to end," he whispered, "start by apologizing for being who you are." Her lip trembled. She tasted blood. "I won't apologize for existing." He spat in her face. When he left, she slid to the floor, knees hugged to chest. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her head. "Hold your head high, even if it trembles." Now it was her hands that trembled. Not from weakness, from holding everything in. She wasn't sobbing. Her body leaked grief. A betrayal she'd known could happen, but never like this. Not with such precision. Not sanctioned. They hated her without reason, and with complete authority. Every promotion she'd fought for, every condescending smile she'd ignored, every time she'd been told, "You're overreacting," came back with brutal clarity. Now they didn't whisper. They made it law. No charges. No explanation. No humanity. Morning light never reached cell 3. But at 7:04 a.m., the door clicked open. "You're free." A young officer. No apology. No eye contact. Just the door ajar. She stood. Every muscle protested. Her blazer was torn, phone dead, ID bent. But her spine remained straight. Outside, the sun felt foreign. Each step was slow, deliberate. Inside, she burned. Back inside precinct 145, it was Monday again. Jensen munched a donut. Braden sipped stale coffee. As if nothing happened. But something had changed. Somewhere, she stood before a mirror, tying her hair. Her hands still shook, but her eyes were steel, because memory is power, and her memory was long, and her silence was almost over. "Heard the new chief is coming in today," one officer near the coffee machine mumbled. "Another bureaucrat with degrees and 0 street smarts," Braden scoffed, without looking up. "Let's see how long she lasts in this rat's nest." Laughter followed. The main door swung open. Heels. The sound was different, confident, precise, as if it didn't need permission to echo loudly. And there she was, the same woman who, just hours earlier, had been sitting on the floor of cell number 3, now in an impeccable suit. A new blazer, elegantly pulled back hair, intact glasses. The precinct froze. Only her footsteps could be heard. Braden spun around, blinked, unable to believe his eyes. Jensen choked on his coffee, his mug crashing to the floor. She didn't look at them. Not yet. "Attention!" Captain Rodriguez shouted, emerging from his office with a strained smile. "Officers, I want you to welcome with the respect she deserves our new regional inspector, assigned directly from the state to oversee this precinct and 3 others in the district." He stepped aside. "Inspector Lena Hayes." The murmurs died. Clocks seemed to have stopped. She lifted her gaze, and there she saw them both. Braden, who suddenly remembered every word he'd uttered in that cell. Jensen, who tried to stare at the floor as if that could erase everything. She smiled. Not an exaggerated smirk of revenge, not an arrogant gesture, but a minimal, cold, precise smile. One that said, "You remember me. I haven't forgotten you." "Good morning, officers," she said, her voice firm. "I'm here to observe, evaluate, and clean house where necessary." Braden swallowed hard. Jensen couldn't even move. And so, the hell they had built now became their own mirror. The clock read 9:01 a.m., and the day was just beginning. In the days that followed, something shifted at Precinct 145. There were no shouts, no explosions, just silence and forms. Many forms. Lena Hayes moved like a surgeon's scalpel. Precise, elegant, lethal. She reopened cold cases that had been gathering dust for years. She listened to every new officer, every ignored complainant. Her presence caused discomfort not for what she said, but for what she knew. Braden and Jensen tried to keep a low profile, but the air hung heavy around them. They exchanged strained greetings, avoided her gaze, and sweated through every meeting until the mail arrived. Seals from the Department of Internal Affairs. Formal subpoenas. First, interviews, then preventive suspension, then disciplinary hearings. 3 weeks later, they sat in the courtroom. No uniforms, no badges, no power. The prosecutor presented footage from non-functional cameras that had, in fact, recorded everything. They had been deactivated after the initial contact, not before. Radio audio, noises, words. Testimonies from other officers who, inspired by the new chief, finally spoke up. The young officer who released her, the receptionist who saw her bruised, the forensic doctor who attended to her injuries that very morning. Braden yelled once, stood up, and was removed. Jensen wept. The press published headlines. Officers accuse and assault inspector without knowing her identity. Institutional racism exposed at Precinct 145. 2 months later, Jensen was convicted of abuse of authority, physical assault, and falsification of reports. His license was permanently revoked. He declared bankruptcy after paying damages and legal costs. He now works at a mechanic shop on the outskirts. No one hires him for security, not even as a supermarket guard. Braden faced more severe charges: coercion, intimidation, aggravated physical abuse, and obstruction of justice. Prison. His family stopped visiting him after the 2nd month. Both were erased from the department's honorific records. And Lena Hayes continued. She didn't seek apologies or give sensational interviews. She simply worked, implemented new protocols, pushed for mandatory training on use of force and racial bias, and restructured the complaint system. In cell number 3, she installed a plaque that didn't bear her name. Only this: dignity is not negotiated, it is defended. A cleansing began here. Every new recruit must read it before starting their shift. And so, without raising her voice, Lena not only dismantled those who tried to break her, she also rebuilt the place where they almost made her invisible. With justice, not with vengeance. Because when you remember everything, you don't need to shout to be heard. Would you like to explore another aspect of the story, or perhaps a different scenario with Lena Hayes?